All right. This is the Personnel Committee for the City of Green Bay on February 27th at 3 p.m. Alder Burnett is here remotely. Alders Hutchinson and Johnson, along with myself, Alder Galvin, are all here and present. I'll entertain a motion on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is any opposed? That passes unanimously. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And that passes unanimously. On to regular business. Item number 1. For consideration with possible action on the request to fill the following positions and all subsequent vacancies resulting from internal transfers. Does anyone have any questions for staff on this?
To approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, and that passes unanimously. On to item number 2, for consideration with possible action to overhire one police captain through September 24.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 3, for consideration with possible action to overhire one firefighter position. Does anyone have any question for staff?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 4, for consideration with possible action on the reclassification of the Housing and Zoning Inspection Supervisor at pay grade K to Inspection Supervisor pay grade M. Any questions for staff?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. On item number 5, for consideration with possible action on the City of Green Bay and the City of Green Bay International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, local number 158-2024 labor agreement, the 2024 labor agreement. Staff.
So this agreement is with the electricians and public works. They have the same wage increase as their general employees is what we came to agreement with. Is the 1% increase January 1, and then a 2% increase in the pay period of April 1st. So we're just asking for the Personnel Committee and Common Council to approve this, and we'll get this signed off for the electricians.
Any comments from anybody on the floor? All
Move to
right.
approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. On the item number 6, update and discussion of negotiations on the 2024 City of Green Bay and City of Green Bay Firefighters Local 141 International Association of Firefighters AFL-CIO 158 labor agreement. Staff,
I would ask that we go into closed session to give an update.
any questions from anyone on the committee?
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Read the language. The committee may convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85 subsection 1 subsection E Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating public employee contracts for competitive or bargaining reasons. The committee may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 subsection 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. All right. So we should have crawled it down.
So we make the motion to go back in open.
And then we vote.
Then we make the motion to proceed. Always learn it.
So like making motions in closed session is really not
Oh, right.
proper.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause then it's
We
like-
occasionally do that, but it's really not a thing,
Right.
because there's no minutes of it, there's no recording of it.
Oh, that's
There's-
right.
yeah. You can just do straw poll, and
Okay.
if you want to get a sense of where people stand.
Yeah. Everyone's engaged.
Well, he just took off. Yeah, we can have it. If that ever happened, then he just split.
Move to go back into open session.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Do I have a motion for staff?
Motion to proceed as directed.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On to item number 7, for consideration with possible action on the request from Alder Weary for an external HR investigation to be initiated regarding the apparent retaliatory disorderly conduct charge filed versus Attorney Janet Angus after she submitted a valid election complaint to the WEC. Staff.
So the staff's recommendation is to refer it to staff, and then we can come back to at the next personnel meeting to discuss it in closed session. Give a timeframe and an update from staff, and then the committee and council can decide where to go from there.
All right. Any comments or questions? Wait,
Staff?
Alder Burnett?
Yeah, thank you, Director Foley. Alder Weary indicated by email that he was not able to attend due to a work conflict with the earlier meeting time of this meeting. I'm fine with the refer to staff, but I guess, could you just kind of comment, or any of the attorneys on the line, if there's anything the council should be concerned about? Because I read the transcript of the circuit court hearing, and I mean, just being completely candid, I was quite disturbed. And so if we refer to staff, I'm hoping that there are options, because if there was some issue at City Hall with a staff member who does not directly report to City Council but to the mayor, I'm just hoping that we get options other than everything's okay, because there could be something deeper there, and I just don't know how to dig and investigate it if there is something that we should be concerned about. So could there be a response to that here in open record, just so we know that this refer to staff isn't just going to go to staff with a bunch of possibilities that aren't going to go anywhere if Alder Weary has some concerns?
I get
Dr. Falls, do you want me to take that?
Sure, thanks, Joanne.
Sure. So essentially, Alder, the plan is to basically present the facts to the committee and council as to the timeline. There have been some inconsistencies and inaccuracies that have been reported as to timeline and who actually filed the complaint. There have been inaccuracies as to the actual WEC's decision, finding that the instance that was complained of was actually not an abuse of discretion of the clerk. So that particular instance that was at the subject of the citation, there was no finding of abuse of discretion by the WEC. So we want to clarify some of the statements that have been made and kind of lay out the entire timeline of everyone that was involved, from the police department to when it ended up having a citation issued by one of our detectives to when it ended up with our prosecutor. And then also provide information from what Judge DeGo found, because I think that was a big element that was completely ignored in all the kind of the public fodder and discussion of the situation. So I think we will lay out all the facts, give it to the committee and council, and then ultimately it'll be up to you all to decide whether you feel that you need something further. And at that point, we would recommend outside counsel, but then we will also have to identify some funding to hire them. Or the facts may satisfy you all, and the item can be disposed of.
Okay, thank you, Attorney.
All right.
So
Any
just
other
to-
questions?
Just to further clarify, I mean, really referring this to staff because my fear, right, is you're referring this to staff, to folks that could potentially be involved with, an HR investigation. And so you can see how there's a conflict there. So I just want to make sure that we don't get caught up in that conflict. And if the issue is really not to come back with recommendations per se, but to say, here's the timeline of events, here's facts, here's information, now we're hands off, council, it's up to you to figure out what to do with this. Would you say that that's
Correct.
kind of what we're
Yeah.
looking at? Okay.
Alder Hutchinson?
That answers my question.
Okay. Alder Grant?
I don't have anything, I'm just listening.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from anybody? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that, that staff bring this item back to the next personnel committee with, facts and timelines to, I guess, explain to council, the series of events that led us to where we are. I don't know if there's better verbiage you want to put around that, but
Refer to staff.
I think it captures the essence of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I think with that, provide options, because I'm always about options. I remember when first of all, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step in if there was a second. I just want to comment on the motion.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think that was part of the motion, Alder Burnett, so.
Yeah, well, for me, and I'll just share options, because I remember when we had this issue with the former clerk and deputy clerk who resigned from the city. I remember going to battle with people within the law department, and I was just simply wanting options that the council can pursue. And I'm just going to be honest, I feel like the direction of the department at that time, I didn't get the options that I was looking for as a council. Council members don't act with any authority on their own. Our authority comes as a collective body, as a body of 12 of us. And I just feel like the timeline's good, but if there is something that we seem very concerned about and we want to address, to have the options that the council has, that is a very important part to present to us as well as the personnel and also the finance committee. So, but if the motion covers that, then I'm all on board with the motion, or if the motion needs to be amended to include options, then I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, I think if the motion simply is the refer to staff, and then it's staff's understanding to capture all of those directives.
Okay.
Second. Okay.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
And just real quickly, just a point of clarity on that. It was refer to staff, but to bring it back to the next personnel meeting. Yeah, okay.
For consideration with possible action on the request from Alder Weary for the city to return the process of department heads being confirmed every 2 years by the city council instead of being permanently appointed. Staff.
So staff would recommend that you refer this to staff. And I guess the purpose behind that is, a few years ago, it might have been 2 or so, we made the change to indefinite terms for appointed officials. And going back to 2 years is not just a simple change of an ordinance. There might be some legal implications for our staff or for the city for that matter. So we'd ask to refer to staff. I don't know if we will have feedback in 2 weeks for that. So I just want to be clear on that. But that's what our ask is right now.
So staff needs time for a legal opinion on this?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let me ask this: if this were the next council term, does that matter anymore?
I don't know. That's what we gotta figure out.
Because what I'm getting at is, we can certainly
Yeah.
do the refer, but a hold until April versus a refer to staff, does that change the discussion?
I think it does, but I need some time to work with the law department and potentially outside counsel.
But
to
if we,
determine.
if we refer this to staff and have you come back in April, then that not only gives you the time, but it gives you the ability to analyze that in the context of the next council session.
It does.
It
Yes,
does.
So the next council session, it does, yes.
But look, Alder Weir's gonna, he obviously, as Alder Burnett said, can't be here, so if he wants to pull this at next council meeting, he will, right? And provide different direction or clarity if that passes. So what I would do is make a motion to, can you hold and refer in the same motion? You know what I'm getting at, though, right? To refer this to staff, but to bring it back to the first personnel committee in April for staff to give their analysis.
I guess I'm going to ask for my own clarity, because I'm just not getting it. How does waiting until we have potentially a new council affect this? request.
Because you can't undo an action that was performed within the same legislative cycle.
Ah, okay.
Was it the same cycle?
I don't know, it's close.
It's close, it's really close, so I'm not sure.
But the reality is,
It was, if I could,
yeah,
the council adopted this new policy or ordinance, whatever it was, right as the new council election was occurring. So I remember being very much against it for the reason that as council members and candidates were going door to door, and perhaps there was some issue that the community had with certain departments, that I think a council should always reserve the right to make changes or not affirm the mayor's appointments if there are some issues in those departments. I remember very specifically, it was the outgoing council that made this decision. The new council was sworn in, and I don't know if this change would be unable to be made because it's an entirely new council. That's my recollection, because I remember speaking and voting against the change because I thought that the incoming council should have the authority to, turn down the mayor's appointments if they chose that route.
yeah. Let me just add a little bit more clarity to this. The point of why I'm asking for this to bring this back to April is even if we say, refer this to staff, it's gonna come back to the next personnel committee, which Chief Falls has already said is not enough time. Then you need time to draft the ordinance, then you need 2 successive council meetings. So what I'm trying to do is save us some headaches by saying just bring it back in April, so that way we don't have to contemplate it in the context of this legislative session.
All right.
Right? It's gonna take that long anyway. By bringing it back in April, you're just eliminating some scenarios that can't possibly occur anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That does.
Yeah.
All right. Alder Burnett?
I mean, without Alder Weary here, I'd be speculating what his main, point of doing this is, but I'll just say if there was some major issues that occurred in regards to Ms. Angus, then of course we would want to hold the people who were responsible for those decisions accountable. And council should never give up their authority on matters. Of course, we have the votes, we have the potential to vote to remove city officials for cause, which is a good thing. However, in most issues with the governing body, we can never get, 8 or 9 votes to agree on contentious things. So there could be some people within city government that made some bad decisions, and council members who want to answer to the public and rectify it are basically, our hands are tied because 3 or 4 or 5 council members could see things opposite. You could say that's checks and balances, perhaps that's true, but I think a check and balance for us as a council is that we reserve the right to confirm appointments. And if we give up that right, then we have very little authority to make sure that department heads are doing the job. If they report to the mayor and maybe we don't agree with the way the mayor is holding them accountable, then we have no ability to counter bad decisions. I'm not saying that's what's happened here. I'm just saying in a general philosophical viewpoint, I never feel like a city government, their legislative body should give up power, and I think that's what we did. So maybe Alder Weary is trying to claim back a little bit of that power. The power of the legislative body rests with the people who put us in office, and that's every 2 years. So again, I'm speculating, but if it's going to be a big political football, it's not something I really want to deal with on my way out of office. I want to leave in good terms, but we can't ignore the major issues that seem to be happening at City Hall. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I think the point of my motion, Alder Burnett, is that it's acknowledging that, right? That there's a time for that discussion and that debate. It's just that we don't have the proper language in front of us to have that debate, right? So
Right.
the referral just gets us to a point where we can have that discussion.
I got you.
Alder Hutchinson?
This issue is kind of a surprise to me. It's my first term, and I'm looking at something where department heads can be, every 2 years, they could be fired, in a sense, by the council, for whatever reason, based, if this is passed, unless there's just cause. How prevalent is this across Wisconsin? Like, do other cities have this? Or is this unique, or is what?
I have not come across a municipality that has had a 2-year, like, reappointment for directors or appointed officials. I have not seen it, and I haven't found it, and we did a lot of research a couple years ago. I don't know if City Attorney Barngert's let us know that the motions refer to staff, so maybe save it for April,
Save it
but
for that.
yeah, I haven't come across it in one municipality, and if someone found it, I'd be happy for them to show that to me where it is.
Okay, because I just hate to see a department head excused for political reasons. It just kind of, because sometimes department heads have to make difficult decisions, and it may run against the grain, but it's maybe best for the city, but politically, the makeup of the council may not like it. This gives them a door to fire that person, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Just the stability, I'm concerned about the stability of the people working for the city, that's all. So I guess you'll answer this during your deliberations on it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for staff or the committee? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I think,
I'll
We got the
second his.
motion. We got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, on to informational. You have the report of routine personal actions, unless you have any comments or questions or concerns about that. Our next meeting is March 12th, 2024.
move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that passes unanimously.